My concern is doing away with whiteness. Whiteness is a form of racial oppression, sure. The suggestion is that it is somehow possible to separate whiteness from oppression, and it is not. There can be no white race without the phenomenon of white supremacy. In the same way, if you abolish racial oppression, you do away with whiteness. Treason to whiteness is loyalty to humanity.
Your views are fairly well received in academia.
Yes, they're legitimate, not to say that everyone agrees, but sure. And the task is to bring this minority together in such a way that it makes it impossible for the legacy of whiteness to continue to reproduce itself.
Investing.
So many arthritis pain relievers. I just want fewer pills and relief that last all day.
Take 2 extra strength Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours.
Taking 8 pills a day, and if I take it for 10 days, that's 80 pills.
Just 2 Aleve can last all day. Perfect.
Choose Aleve and you can be taking 4 times fewer pills than extra strength Tylenol. Just 2 Aleve have the strength to relieve arthritis.
Quel est l'objectif? Ça va faire parler, mais l'objectif, c'est relever le défi du métissage. Défi du métissage que nous adresse le XXIe siècle. Ce n'est pas un choix, c'est une obligation, c'est un impératif. On ne peut pas faire autrement, au risque de nous trouver confrontés à des problèmes considérables. Nous devons changer, alors nous allons changer. On va changer partout en même temps, dans l'entreprise, dans les administrations, à l'éducation, dans les partis politiques. Et on va se mettre des obligations de résultat. Si ce volontarisme républicain ne fonctionnait pas, il faudra alors que la République passe à des méthodes plus contraignantes encore.
Alors, mes chers amis d'Arabie Saoudite, il ne s'agit pas de chercher à imposer un modèle unique de civilisation. Ce serait répéter une fois de plus l'erreur tragique qui, dans le passé, a provoqué tant de malheurs. Ce serait nier les identités. Ce serait susciter non la paix et la fraternité, mais la violence. Car rien n'est plus dangereux qu'une identité blessée, qu'une identité humiliée. Une identité humiliée, c'est une identité radicalisée.
C'est relever le défi du métissage. Défi du métissage que nous adresse le XXIe siècle. Le défi du métissage, la France l'a toujours connu. Et en relevant le défi du métissage, la France est fidèle à son histoire.
Jeans and heels, belly button showing, got some sex appeal. Streaks in your hair, fingernails get up, abs looking like you do 1,000.
With 31 miles per gallon highway, you won't mind going out of your way. Available blind spot monitoring will help keep things smooth. And with available voice command navigation, you certainly won't mind helping your kid's sister and her friends find their way. The 2012 Dodge Charger. Here's to American innovation.
Ladies, look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to old school.
Peaches,
okay.
I got the cream.
And so we go cut to come.
Landau.
people to move in the neighborhoods, but clean their own neighborhoods. And another thing, when you say integration, it comes under intermarriage too, right? All been together.
Right, sure.
And I'm sure no intelligent white person watching this show, or no intelligent white man in his or her right white mind want black boys and black girls marrying their white sons and daughters, and in return introducing their grandchildren as half-brown, kinky-haired black people.
I wouldn't object to that.
Well, you wouldn't, but a lot of them would.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would. No, this is the point.
What I'm trying to say is this. And you don't have it. You say you don't, but you don't have it. You really ain't going to have it. You're on the show, and you got to say that. But
that's not true.
Why would you want to do that?
Because I don't think I'm any different from you, you see.
Yeah, we're much different.
I mean, I think society's made us different.
You know we're different. We're all together.
Well, society's made us different.
No, not society. God made us different.
No, we're just human beings. He made all of us.
We all, listen, bluebirds fly with bluebirds, red birds want to be with red birds. Listen, tell me when I'm wrong. Pigeons want to be with pigeons.
But
tell me when I'm wrong. They don't have intelligence, but yet they stay together. We should have more intelligence than them, right? Buzzards are with buzzards. Buzzards are with buzzards. Bluebirds are with bluebirds. They all are birds, but they got different cultures. The eagles like to hang out in the mountains. The buzzard like to fly around the desert.
Well,
the bluebird like to fly around the trees and the grass.
There'd be certain problems a buzzard mating with a sparrow, wouldn't there?
What?
There'd be certain.
Right. And we have the problems too.
No,
I don't see no black and white couples in England or America walking around proud, holding their children.
That's because society...
And going out.
That's society's fault. I mean, we've got to educate people around it.
Well, life is too short for me to be raised catching hell for something like that. I'd rather go and be my own. I have a beautiful daughter, beautiful wife. They look like me. We're all happy, and I don't have no trouble. I have no trouble. I ain't that much in love with no woman to go through all that hell. Ain't no one woman that good. You understand?
I understand, yeah. I do understand. I understand. I think it's sad that
it ain't sad because I want my child to look like me. Every intelligent person wants his child to look like him. I'm sad because I want to blot out my race and lose my beautiful identity. Chinese love Chinese. They love the little slanted-eyed, pretty brown-skinned babies. Pakistanis love their culture. Jewish people love their culture. A lot of Catholics don't want to marry number Catholics. They want the religion to stay the same. Who want to spot up yourself and kill your race? You're a hater of your people if you don't want to stay who you are. You shame what God made you. God didn't make no mistake when he made us all like we were.
I think that's a philosophy of despair.
Despair?
I really do.
It ain't no despair.
Number
one, can't no woman. Let me tell you something. I want to tell you. Listen, no woman on this whole earth, not even a black woman in Muslim countries, can please me and cook for me and socialize and talk to me like my American black woman. No woman, and last is a white woman, can really identify with me and my feelings and the way I act and the way I talk. And you can't take no Chinese man and give him no Puerto Rican woman and holler about we're in love and you emotionally in love and physically, but really they're not happy because she's going to hear some Puerto Rican music, he's going to hear some Chinese music, and they're going to be clashing all the time. It's just nature. You can do what you want, but it's nature to want to be with your own. I want to be with my own. I love my people. That's all.
An Arab man is to appeal his conviction of rape by deception in Israel after having consensual sex with a woman who thought he was a fellow Jew. Sabar Kishore, who denies pretending to be Jewish, was sentenced to 18 months in jail. But as RT's Paulus Leo reports, even couples who knowingly choose to enter into an interfaith relationship are ostracized.
This Jewish Jerusalem suburb is surrounded by Arab neighborhoods. And far from cultivating a culture of tolerance, vigilante-style Jewish patrol groups, calling themselves Fire for Judaism, stand watch outside the local shopping mall. Their mission? To prevent Arab men mixing with local Jewish girls. The municipality has created a 24-hour hotline where parents and friends can phone to rat on Jewish girls breaking this taboo. A specially trained team of counselors and psychologists is on standby to rescue them.
It's important to safeguard our traditions, culture, history and identity, because without this, who are we? From my experience, I can say that the chances for a healthy relationship between an Israeli Jewish woman and an Arab man are very, very low. It's because of the great differences between these two cultures.
The most recent case involves an Arab man who posed as a Jewish bachelor. A Jewish woman agreed to have sex with him. But after she found out he was an Arab and not a Jew, she filed a police complaint.
The courts took the case so seriously that he's now being convicted of rape by deception and sentenced to 18 months in prison. The judge said he had an obligation to protect the public from sophisticated criminals who could lure innocent victims.
But reactions to the verdict differ.
I think the idea, if the woman want to do it, it's do it, no, they're no different. It's Arabic or no Arabic or something like this.
Usually Jewish girls don't go with Arab guys, unless it's a choice, you know. So there should be a choice. He didn't leave her the choice, but prison is too much, I think.
This is the way that this conflict is ruining our personal lives, that we cannot have relationships, that we cannot be just human beings.
Arabs make up a fifth of Israel's population, but relationships between Arabs and Jews are rare. Former Palestinian minister Ziad Abu Zayed says fights break out almost weekly in nightclubs and other public places over the issue. It's not religion, he says, it's racism.
There are Jewish gangs which are against any relations between Jewish girls and non-Jewish men. And they keep hunting Jewish girls, even those who can go out to a pub or to a restaurant or anywhere with an Arab guys, and threaten them and force them to break their relations with Arab guys.
In the 2 years Rami Rahib and Kelly Bentata have been together, they've never been physically threatened. He's Muslim, she's Jewish. But they're now thinking about leaving Israel because they say it's simply too difficult on other levels.
When my family found out, they were very adamant about cutting me off on every level for acting as a traitor to everybody and for being in Israel and making that choice.
Right now, Israeli parliamentarians are considering a law that will require prospective Israeli citizens to declare loyalty to Israel as a Jewish democratic state. Arab Israelis are furious. Most refuse to swear allegiance to a state they believe explicitly excludes and marginalizes them. Paulus Leo, RT, Jaffa.
We are forced to share every single part of our lives with non-whites and not allowed to have any exclusive white communities. You are well aware that leads to enough interracial marriage to destroy our race, yet you claim it isn't being forced on us when we call it genocide. Nobody is taking away the right of all blacks in all black countries to have anywhere exclusive to live, forcing them to integrate and share every part of their lives with non-blacks. If those conditions were imposed on blacks, would you tell them that the intermarriages it leads to isn't being forced when they call it genocide? To an anti-white, interracial marriage is the most holy of all pillars, and the conditions that lead to it are your favorite policies to destroy my race. You insist that whites must not be allowed to have anything exclusive for our race, knowing the conditions imposed on us lead to enough interracial marriage to wipe us out. Your claim that the interracial marriages aren't forced is a straw man argument. Our point is that whites are being forced to share all our nations with non-whites, and being forced to integrate in all other parts of our lives is what leads to those intermarriages. Do you agree with such imposed conditions, even though they are calculated to eventually bring about the physical destruction of my race, also known as genocide? That this whole assimilation scheme is only being done in white countries. Only white countries have to be shared with non-whites. Everyone else is allowed to have their own nations. Everyone else is allowed to have things exclusive to them. Blacks are allowed to have exclusive things. They're allowed to have exclusive countries. They're even allowed to have exclusive businesses within white countries. They're allowed to have exclusive schools within white countries. Everyone else is allowed to have exclusive things even within white countries. The only people not allowed to have anything exclusive are whites in white countries. Interracial marriage isn't being forced. Heck, that's the only part of it not being forced, because they know the situation that is being forced leads to so much of it. So they don't have to enforce that part when you are enforcing all the conditions that lead to it. You don't have to force that part when you're forcing all of the conditions that lead to it.
We are going to become a minority in our own country before 2050. Well before 2050 for the younger people. Go to any city centre which is inundated with the third world. You will not see any white people in Tower Hamlets. You won't see white people in all parts of Luton, parts of Leicester, all across the country, because they have been driven out. They have lost their right to exist as a culture and a race in their own country. That I term to be genocide. To be genocide. Genocide. To be genocide. And I'm backed up again by the United Nations definition on genocide, which quite specifically says, in the present convention, genocide means any of the acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial or religious group, and deliberately inflicting on that group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction, in whole or in part.
Most residents of England and Wales were white at 86%. However, this is a decrease of 5 points since 2001. And the mixed race population has gone above 1 million for the first time. And surprisingly, London has become the first region where white British people have become a minority. The Office for National Statistics said the findings showed a diverse and changing picture.
Children from white families in Birmingham are set to become a minority group for the first time.
Population forecasts seen by the BBC's Politics show suggest that more than half of children under 16 in the city are from black and Asian communities. Birmingham could become a minority white city within the next 10 to 15 years.
In 2006 in Birmingham, 53% of children from birth to 16 were white, but this year's census is expected to show it's fallen to 47%. Latest government figures already show that 43% of children in Birmingham Council schools are white, making this group a minority.
White British is set to become a minority group,
making this group a minority in our own country before 2050.
A minority group.